Going live in 15 seconds. All right. To be black in America is like being in a constant state of rage. That's what's said by the late Mr. James Baldwin. That was one of his comments. Grand Risings, brothers and sisters. I want to welcome you to the Black News Network. This is from the desk of the Emissary, Brother Walt Smith, a.k.a. Jabir Ali. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black U.S.A., bringing you the news from a local, state, and federal perspective. I do not own the rights to the music, but I do own the rights to what I say. This time and this day only, we're not broadcasting on Facebook, but we are on YouTube Live. So if you want to get with us, join me on YouTube Live right now for the next 30 minutes so we can explore the deep in the office of Black America. You know, I took a survey for the VA the other day, and on that survey, what I saw was that they asked me that I want to reveal my demographics. And I said, yeah, I'll tell you what I am. But they only offered you two choices, either Black or African American. And then I don't identify with either one of those publicly, like I said, publicly. Because what's happening here in America, anytime you filling out an application, they want to pigeonhole you or tunnel you into a specific category and make you into what they want you to be, either Black or African American. You know, you could be one of 100 different nationalities instead of just being Black and African American. But when you say Black or African American, basically you're saying you don't have a nationality, because Black and African America is not a nationality. They are not giving you a proper chance to identify yourself in a way that would make you prominent in this country. You are steadily demising and diminishing yourself when you tell somebody that you're Black, or you tell somebody that you're African American outside of your own culture, that is. When you speak outside of your own culture, you're basically confirming the fact that you have no nationality here in America. That has been the issue for quite some time now, and it's time for us to change. Okay, hitting at the top of the list right now, we got our 5 biggest coons of the week. Definitely Herschel Walker is up there with number 1. We can never take off Clarence Thomas because he's going to stay right where he's at. Oh, let's go ahead and add Charles Barkley, because Charles Barkley is just the biggest sellout I ever seen, you know, especially when he wants to call Kyrie Irving an idiot. Now, Kyrie Irving is still standing his ground. He ain't taking no shit from all these people trying to tell him he needs to apologize publicly for finding out about who he is and where he came from. That is the biggest problem with people of melanated background in America today, is allowing yourself to explore who you really are. And is it that you don't want to know your heritage? You don't want to know where you come from? What is it about you not knowing or not wanting to know your heritage? You want to just stay stuck with the blackness or stuck with the African American? We got to do better than that, my people. We got to do better than just saying that we are black or we are African American. You might as well run around and say that you colored. You might as well say that you a nigger, because it doesn't matter that black and African American has no significance. It has no nationality, but you still want that to be considered who you are. Let that go, my friend. We no longer want that to be who we are. This VA application only gave me those two choices, so I chose neither. You know, you ain't gonna pigeonhole me into saying or calling myself what you want me to be called, because I'm bigger than that. And I don't want to be defined by somebody else that don't know nothing about my heritage. I was doing some research on one of them damn programs the other day, and we found people in my family back as far as 1895. And I found that my great 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 grandmother was born in Virginia, and I think it was Richmond, and they migrated to Mississippi. So it's some information out there if you really want to find it out. And if you listen to the speech by Martin Luther King, he'll tell you that there were black people in this country before the Mayflower landed on Plymouth Rock. What does that tell you? That Africans are all over this planet way before the white man or the Caucasian hit the shore. We can't allow these things to take over who we are and we disbelieve them. We gotta learn the truth. And America do not want us to know the truth. Just this week, Joe Biden hosted a summit from all African countries. And he's up there, and every 5 seconds, he's throwing $47 billion towards this, $55 billion on that, $900 million over here, and $3 million over there. He's giving out all this American money, all this taxpayer money in support of what's going on in Africa. But the real deal is, what are you going to do for the people that you have in your country that are of African descent and that you stole from Africa? That is kind of where the ball stops right there. Nobody wants to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is all the descendants of the slaves that you held in bondage for hundreds of years right here on this continent. There's a big difference between you being a black or a what's the other one? African American, or a Moor, Moor. You should look at how your nationality is Moorish, and it's not very hard for you to get your nationality up on your chest, so you can claim an actual nation that you are a descendant of. But if you never ever explore the challenge of finding out where you came from, if you never ever take the time to ask yourself, why is it that the Asians are considered Chinese or Japanese or Korean, and they all have a nation that they come from, but we as Black Americans don't? We as African Americans don't. That is why we get messed on so bad here in this country. You know, the more we try to make ourselves normal in American society, the more we get disrespected. We're never going to become part of the fabric of this country, even though we put the fabric together in this country. and we're part of every single thing in democracy and everything that ever happened here. We've been a part of it. We've been a part of every war. We've been every part of every peace movement, every political movement, every single thing that has ever happened in this country. Our people have been a significant part of it, but we have never been given the acknowledgement of us being off the plantation. They don't want us to know. Defense. Ukraine president is in the White House tonight doing a speech. Now, for 100% of the time, he has been in a defensive mode when fighting with Russia. So it's really not a war, it's a one-sided effort. Russia is doing his thing. It's attacking, and Ukraine is allegedly defending, aka providing defense. And if you understand sports, you know that you're going to have a defense, you're going to have an offense, you're going to have a special team, you're going to have special players, you're going to have backup players, all this stuff that you have to have in order to compete in a competition. So if you're only providing defense to what Russia is doing to you offensively, then you can never gain anything other than your goal is to stop their offense. That's all you're trying to do, is stop the offense of Russia attacking you in Ukraine. But at one time or another, you're going to get frustrated with just playing defense, and then you're going to have to play some offense. But you keep coming to America asking America to supply you with all this equipment so you can provide defense against Russia. And eventually, that's going to run out. Now, Russia's trying to show you that it is not going to lighten up. It is not going to stop. It's going to continue to pound away on Ukraine. And Ukraine's going to continue to try and play defense. Without a good offense, your defense is not going to work. You're going to have to get a defensive posture somewhere in there. The greatest threat to Black Americans right now, would it be mass incarceration? What would it be? If it's not mass incarceration, would it be low-income housing, redlining, keeping you locked into a particular zone? But right now, there's no zone allocated for Black people nowhere in America. Nowhere. We are all over the place. So that means that we have no place to call home. We're just like migrants. We're all over the place. And then I heard somebody say the other day on the news that it's a migrant invasion. An invasion is from something like in a war. What I say, an invasion is like a war. But you're trying to say that these migrants who walked thousands of miles to get to the U.S. border, and now you want to say that they're going to invade America? It's not an invasion. It's people trying to find a better way for their families and a better life for themselves. It is not an invasion. It is people looking for a better way. You know, they understand that they came this way. They put their families through all the torture and trials and tribulation, the risk of their children being taken into drug smuggling units and being put on the sex trafficking agenda and being sent out to pasture, being killed, being raped, tortured, kidnapped, stolen, and everything else. They put their children through this just to get to the United States. And then when you get to the United States, they say you're trying to invade the United States. That's not the way it is. These people are looking for a better way of life, and it's up to us, because we have a better way of life, to try and help them as best we can. Title 42 is supposed to stop them from coming to America and having them turned around right at the border. But according to the Washington, the Title 42 is about to expire today. But we're going to see how that's going to pan out, because more than likely, they always wait till the last damn minute to start something new. They're going to extend it. Like right now, the budget for the ensuing year has not been approved, but they're going to wait till the ensuing year to approve it. They're going to wait till the end of the week, till the D-Day, the last 24 hours of the actual budget expiration, and then they're going to go ahead and approve the new budget. But the new budget going to have 50-something billion dollars in there for Ukraine. It's going to have a lot more money for the border security. But I never hear the United States of America fussing about the border security on the northern border. Only the southern border is a crisis. I admit, yeah, it's a crisis there, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. That does not mean that there's a war going on the southern border. It means that we're getting more people coming from the south trying to get into the United States. Now, what's going to happen now? The winter is about to set in, and it's cold as F out there. It's going to be cold down there too. And you got kids, you got babies, you got pregnant mothers, you got women, children, you got everybody on that border trying to get across to the United States, and they don't have shelter. Can you imagine being out there with no place to lay your head, no tent or nothing to put over you when it's sleeting and snowing? Homeless, like in America, like the many homeless people here. But see, the homeless here, they have choices. They can go to shelters, they can go to encampments. But when you're a migrant like the people down on the border, that's a really sad situation. So the greatest threat to Black America, it can't be going to church. It's got to be mass incarceration or something to that effect. Just to touch on a little of the news that went on this week, there's an emergency declaration going on in El Paso. And in El Paso, they're making it hard. They're asking the United States federal government to give them money to help deal with the migrants that will be coming across the border. And that's going to take a lot of money, a whole lot of money. And again, they're calling it a border invasion, and it's not an invasion. I was looking at a documentary the other day about in Jasper, Texas, where James Byrd Jr. was drugged behind this pickup truck. And they talked about the three guys, Sean Berry, Russell Brewer, and Bill King, who were the perpetrators. And this man was just walking home. And they put this man, they took him out to a desolate area, and they took him into the woods, and they jumped him, and then they beat him up, and then they took a chain and put it around his feet, and then they drug him for close to 3 miles, and then they dropped his body at a church, a Black church, a historical Black church. Now, this is something that most normal people could never fathom the thought to do. You had to be some strong anti-Black person to want to do something like they did to James Byrd. They killed that man. They dismembered his body and left pieces of his body along the road. But two of those guys were white supremacists All three of them were white supremacists, but two of them got the death penalty, and two of them have been put to death. The third one is doing a life sentence without the possibility of parole in prison. It's really sad that in America that people would want to treat a human body that bad. You know, people are dying all the time, but how can you have such low morals and standards where you would want to do something like that to a person, to a living human body? It's sad, but it's true. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Military City, USA, bringing you the Black perspective of news. Now, we want to learn the secrets behind the story because the stories normally don't tell us what's really going on when it comes to the truth. So we have to dig deeper as Black people to find out what they really mean. And they are not going to allow us to learn what really needs to be learned without us doing our research. We got to get busy and read our books. We got to start looking at stuff like this book right here, which is, let's see if I can show it to you, the 1619 Project. This is the book that I'm reading right now, and it talks about slavery from the beginning to where we are now. I really and strongly ask you to look this book up and get you a copy. It's really worth the read. I'm loving what I've read so far, and I'm going to keep going at it. First of all, I want to tell you that there are only 400 million Caucasians on the planet Earth today. 400 million Caucasians on planet Earth. Now, there are 25 trillion melanated people on the planet today. 25 million or trillion of us on this planet. So how is it that 400 million people have learned to rule over 25 trillion people? They learned to rule over 25 trillion people because the melanation in our bodies teaches us to love. We have no way around loving ourselves and loving who we are. But in some cases, we love ourselves so much, it makes us hate ourselves because we love ourselves so much. That sounds like an oxymoron, but if you think about it, exactly what I just said, you would understand what I mean when I said we love ourselves so much that we hate ourselves. We hate ourselves that we love ourselves so much. That's exactly what's happening. We hate ourselves because we love ourselves so much. And if we didn't have the love that we have right now for ourselves, our world would have been a whole lot different. We love ourselves so we could not do the atrocities and the things that they did to us during slavery or during the Holocaust, for that matter. We are not part of that type of life. We are a better people. We're the original people. We're the original Hebrews. And that is why we are full of love. And because we're full of that love, we are not on this planet to annihilate anybody or to take from anybody. If anything, we will give. Look how easy it is for Black people to invite somebody white into their household or even into their organization or into their lifestyle. without thinking twice about it. We will invite a white person into our styles without thinking twice about it. But on the other hand, they are not going to invite us into their way of life without there being some stipulation to it. The only reason you would be invited to their lifestyle is because you got something that they want to take or they want to learn. Not necessarily always take. Sometimes they want to learn from you. And you teach them the things that they need to know to become better people in America. You know, Uvalde had they did something. They sent out a testing team to go to the schools in Uvalde, Texas. And would you believe that they found doors unlocked on the loading dock? And they walked right into the school, and they could have been as easily been a shooter, but they were not shooters, they were inspectors. But that goes to show what I said about 3 shows ago, that they have not done a damn thing to improve this process and this program that they have for people not going in schools when they're not supposed to be there. They don't have the securities in place to keep people out of school. They don't have the securities in place to keep hoodlums from just walking into a school. So if your child is attending a public school, I suggest you go down and check that school out, because you need to know what type of security measures they take if something like a shooter, an active shooter, comes into the situation. And this brings me to the next question. Why didn't Uvalde, having over 100 officers down there on scene, why had they not called SWAT? SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics. And to me, that's exactly what that was. Special weapons and tactics needed to handle that boy in there killing those kids and those teachers. But they never called SWAT. I don't understand that. I have yet to hear anybody address the question about why didn't they call SWAT for something like that, but nobody did. And I just don't understand it. They did not call SWAT, and they left those children to die. And then 6 months later, the doors are still open. People still can walk in from the docks and through open doors and get into that school and start it all over again. We need to tighten up, man. And until we put some black people, melanated people, into some of these positions to provide head security to what's happening here, then we are not going to get this situation resolved. We keep putting the same damn people in charge of shit that is very important, and we keep getting the same damn results. That's what's happening in our schools right now. We put the same damn people in charge, and we get the same damn results as before. But when you bring in new blood, like the people that are qualified, like some black people, melanated people, and put them in charge of that situation, then more than likely, you're going to get that situation fixed. It's not working. The school system is not working, and it's not going to get any better. You know, there are 60% of Americans overweight right now. And because these Americans are overweight, we're going to continue to do things like eating this cold food, eating out, eating the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeye's chicken. It's another chicken place. I don't even know the name of this damn place. Just opened up on Pat Booker on 3009. That's a new chicken place up there. And it's a whole nother level of chicken. I haven't eaten there. They still don't know who killed them 4 kids in Idaho. That's something that's still going on. You know, The federal government again is pledging 44 billion to Ukraine, and I think that just went up to 50 billion since he came to Washington today. Silence, silence is complicity. This is what our U.S. president said. Silence is complicity. He's basically saying that because we don't speak about slavery in America, that means we condone it. It was okay. Now it's over with. They need to speak up and start talking about it. So they're talking to Africa because they've noticed that China has been in Africa over 20 years and they've been investing in the African infrastructure. And America see that they are losing the fight when it comes to doing right by Africa. You know, China ain't that clean over there either. They doing some corrupt shit, but they are there and they're investing in the infrastructure of Africa. Now America is trying to jump on the bandwagon for the last 2 years when China got a 20-year head start on them. So it's going to be a fight, and you're going to see them stepping up the rhetoric about what America is going to do for Africa in the near future, in the next several years. Now, in order for them to start doing something for Africa, they're going to have to do something for the Africans in America that they haven't taken care of, that they've neglected for hundreds of years. They're going to have to acknowledge some stuff, and they have yet to acknowledge how bad they did people, black people in America. Charles Barkley, Shaq, don't come out and say negative comments against Kyrie Irving, because by doing that, you're really showing that you have become the industrial business sellout. And that ain't what you stand for. I'm sure Shaq probably did it out of peer pressure, but he shouldn't have said anything because he's been in good standing in my mind up until that point where he started talking bad about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, stand your ground, don't bow down. Stand your ground, don't bow down to the bullshit. If you gotta walk away, but don't bow down and let them take your dignity. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Military City, USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. I want to say grand risings to you and grand sunset to you too, as well, my brothers and sisters. It's business from the desk of the emissary, Brother Jabir Ali, aka Wall Smith. Thank you so much for listening to the Black News Network. You can see us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and on Sunday at 3:30. We look forward to seeing you Sunday on 3:30. Hopefully, by then, we will have our Facebook broadcast back up and running. Some type of glitches happened today, but that's about all. So thank you for listening to the Black News Network. I'll see you Sunday. Have a nice day.